Question first would be how did you really choose to pursue architecture as a career path? Can you take us through your journey so far? Yeah, in fact, my family, in fact, my father was in the construction industry. So he's been in the hotel construction industry. Okay. Now, hotel construction industry for long, those days, I'm talking about 1970s and 80s, where my father started. Right. Yeah. At that time, it was booming in terms of the construction of five-star hotels. Right. Yeah. So he's done major five-star hotels in terms of the construction, part of design, etc. Yeah. And that's how, from the childhood times, I've been looking at, fascinated about architecture, interior, design. What finesse of architecture can actually come out of. Right. Yeah. So right from I've seen all this from the back of hotels. Mm-hmm. A lot of people see hotel from the front side and see the glimmer and shimmer of a hotel. Right. Yeah. But what I've seen is the hotel from behind. Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. Yeah. So that's how all my life I've been seeing that. And I used to in my childhood days, I used to love to see the other side, yeah, which I would rarely get to see because my father used to be behind the scene and not from the front of the scene. So by the time the hotel gets over, he's out of the project. Yeah, yeah. So I really didn't, have that experience of doing or looking at a hotel from that other side. Right. But I still used to see it because those initial days used to be wherein his work used to be constructing hotel and then running it to a certain stage and then going out. Is it? So when you mean running it in the sense that the handover between the project to the operational team, right? That's the transition. So I used to see the hotel a little glimmer of that time, yeah. And I used to get fascinated in terms of when I was probably 8-10 years old, and I used to love going to the hotel to see what he does and how he does that. Right. And then love the other side rather than from the back end side of it. So that's how I started my journey in terms of liking design, And my father used to be a hardcore construction guy. Right. Yeah. So he was never part of the design part of it. But then his job is to make sure that the design really comes to the real end. Right. So I used to like and love the other side of it. And when I used to stay in the rooms also with him, when because there's initial stage of handing over from the operational teams. So we get to stay, we go to use the swimming pool, right, etc. Right. So I used to love it. And every hotel he's probably done the 10 or 12 largest iconic hotels of India. Wow. So that's how I traveled all across India to see wherever I used to go, we used to be a part of it. And then we used to love it's Gujarat, Delhi, Punjab, Agra, Chennai, Bangalore. So I've really I stayed in Goa for some time. Yeah. So he built Sidadi Goa in the year 82, I think. Yeah, 81, 82 is what he built. And it was a beautiful hotel one of those days of, Charles Correa did it at that time. Yeah. So there I was a little more, I was probably in my 13, just teenage. Right. And then I saw that hotel there. And I used to love that hotel, how it came out, and very Goan kind of an architecture it was. So every hotel he built, they had a local flavor to it. Yeah. Okay. So it was either the Agra hotel was very Mughal architecture. Right. Yeah. So and the Maharashtra hotel that he did, where he had a very Maratha architecture design and all that. So despite of being modern, it still had that essence of of all that.
Right.
So from my journey actually started there, and I used to be, sitting in the room and like to sketch out those things. So I used to be a good artist. I had a, flair to sketch and all
Right.
that, and I used to be sitting in the room and sketching all those things.
Yeah, we see a lot of work.
Right. Architecture, and I used to love doing um a lot of design. And then when I started my initial days working, I actually started as a hotel architect. Yeah. So right from my first year onwards.
The natural progression to
So it became, very easy.
Right.
So that my bosses could see that how well I could just fix up things.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first 6 months itself. So they were like surprised at how do you know all this? I said I've been seeing all this all my life.
Right.
Yeah. So
Where did you start this? When you say boss, where
I worked with a big organization in Bombay called Office Contractor.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's where I did hotel,
Right.
my first hotel with them.
Yeah.
And then it was very quick for me to just, I knew the hotel ins and out, whether I used to be running into the hotel and not coming out always. So I always knew all that. And I used to love the public side of it. Yeah. So which is your lobbies and restaurants
Right.
and banquets.
Interactive spaces, maybe?
No, it's more of a public areas.
Okay.
In terms of the hotels. So I used to be loving that, and then it was just a quick. So they realized that I'm a real good hotel architect.
Right.
So that's how I started my journey when I started working.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, I worked there for quite some time. Yeah. And then from there, I always knew that I'm going to start something on my own. Yeah. And learn the art of trade.
Yeah.
How things are. So I would also tell a lot of youngsters
Right.
who come into architecture. I said, listen, it's not going to be very easy life for you. You got to learn the trick of how the industry works. Yeah. Who are you going to meet? You're going to meet somebody who's got an experience of your age.
Right.
Yeah. I'm talking about the experience of your age.
Yes.
And you got to convince him that your design is better.
Yeah.
So that's a real difficult thing unless and until you understand the trick of trade.
Right.
Yeah. So for all these young architects and budding architects who come out of their colleges and say, "Oh, I'll start on my own," that's not going to be easy for you. Yeah. You got to know how things work. You got to know how the industry really works. Understand what the consultant wants. Everybody looks upon the architect to give solutions,
Right.
and you have to learn the solution.
Yeah.
Nothing is like, every project is a new project. It's got its own dimension. Every project has got its own, issues to handle. They can be structural, they can be NAP. The fundamentals can be same.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then every project is different.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I always tell all these young guys, start working, understand the, industry, and then get into, trying out your own if you could do it.
Right.
It's a difficult market outside.
So if I may try to put a perspective, how long were you with the firm?
So with the firm, I worked for almost 8-10 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started working when I was studying.
Yeah.
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 So when I was studying the third year or something, I started working with.
Did you start like an internship or something?
No, I didn't. I started not as an internship. I used to do work in. I was in Delhi for some time. So
Okay.
at that time, I was working with Stein, Doshi, and Balla.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Stein used to be a renowned architect of India. Yeah. So Stein, Doshi, Balla used to. I don't know if that firm still exists there.
Right.
At that time, when I almost left Delhi, Stein was just retired. And Balla was handling it. And they were doing a lot of industrial projects, that they've done some fantastic museums. One of their key projects I was working in, we call it India Habitat Center.
Okay.
In Delhi. Very renowned this thing. So Stein is compared to like, probably I would say, the top two architects of India, those types. Yeah.
Right.
Post independence,
Mhm.
the Charles Correa, Stein,
Yeah.
Allah, and these are the level of architects at that time used to have. So I had the opportunity working with them. After that, I did. After I finished my graduation, I left Delhi, came to Bombay, and then I did almost 8 years of work here.
Right.
Yeah. So 8 years, I would say I worked 16 years. You know why? Because I used to work 16, 17 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah. So I used to be working, going to office at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I used to leave office at around 11, 12 every day, including Sundays.
Right.
Yeah. That's the amount of work that I did. Yeah. Those times you don't get anything. Yeah. It's just barely you could make out.
It's the learning.
But that's fine. That's. I always knew that. Work hard now, and then you can probably then
get rewarded later.
Yeah, that's a trade-off for everybody. That's the way it is going to be now.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so I presume after working with the firm, then you what happened after that?
So when it's a very interesting story, a very human story I had. I left office and
Right.
I barely had any amount in my bank. I probably had 200 rupees in my bank. I just had one architect working, yeah, at that time, and then we grew to having almost 100 people working with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is so if I'm getting it
That's
right.
2007 to now.
Right. So
Yeah.
if I'm getting it right, like so soon after you left
Yeah.
the firm,
Yeah.
then you started
Right.
with Ishan Architects.
Right. Yes.
And then you had one architect alone.
Yes. Yeah.
And now it's like
Yeah.
100
So those that's a big journey.
Wow.
So it's been difficult last 1 year.
Right. Right.
It's been because of 2020. It's been very very bad for the industry.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's part of those curves that you see.
Yeah.
And things will bounce back. And we see some movement now. We see some traction now.
Right.
And things are going to get back. I think by 2020, mid 2020, things should go back to normalcy, and then we should see a lot of things happening because India is one of the brightest spots in the world to see.
Right.
So in terms of the real estate, real estate has seen a steady decline for the last 7-8 years. Yeah, in terms of the pricing, a whole lot of things. A lot of government regulations just came out. And new regulations will affect industry. Will actually shake the industry.
Right.
Yeah, when you just get a regulation, just bang into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's shaken the industry. So it's not really recovered. But then, in terms of the longer run, yes, we see that the regulation will get structured real estate into market.
Right.
Which is good for the end user. Anything that is good for the end user is good for the industry.
Eventually it translates to
that's the way it will actually turn out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we see it, and I see that probably 2023, 2024 we'll have a peak of the real estate coming back. So that means when you say real estate coming back, real estate itself is the single largest employer in the country.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So when you see that, if the real estate doesn't pick up, your biggest industry, if you see a slum, it'll be a huge economic loss for the country.
True.
So we see that this will really affect the way things are. But then I see things will pick up in 2023, 24, 25 will be the golden years of India.
Right.
That's the way I'm going to see it. Yeah. Excellent question.
Right.
It's not just a simpler question. It's one of the finest questions that I've been going to various lectures and various forums to talk about it. Okay.
Right.
And I truly feel that running an organization, you've got to be a good architect any which way.
Right.
All right. It's because your architecture speaks what you do. Your design speaks what you do. There are many good designers, but they are never successful business, or let's say they are never successful organization, or they are never successful architect.
Right.
There is a reason why it is not there.
Uh-huh.
The first and foremost is no architecture colleges in India or abroad speaks about the business angles of what architecture.
Right.
See, there is a business angle.
Yeah.
When I started, I'll give you a small example. Yeah, when I started my architecture, we used to flood with a lot of work. All right. Now, I didn't know how things work. Yeah, I didn't know how to pay taxes. I didn't know how to calculate taxes. I didn't know what to do about it. We just took money and we delivered.
Right.
All right. Now, one day the taxman came to us and said, "Where is my tax?"
Yeah.
Now, what do? I said, "I don't know what to do." All right. Now, I focused myself into it. So, I've burnt my hands over the years to learn the trick of this is just a small aspect of it. Now, business running and entrepreneurship is a different field itself.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You've got to have, today we have various departments. We have design department, we have accounts, we have legal, you have purchase, you have administrative, you have HR.
Right.
So there are, probably 8-10 departments that really runs and everything should run smoothly to ensure that you run smoothly.
Right.
All right. Now, unless and until you know how to hire correct people.
Yeah.
And you can't, I'm not good in everything, right? I'm good in design.
Right.
That's what I've learned all my life.
Yeah.
So you got to have an understanding about how do you run a business.
Yeah.
All right. Run a business is a different ballgame. All right. And I tell every single individual who runs a business that they should, hire people to tell you where you're wrong.
Yeah.
Unless and until they tell you, I still remember I went to a TED talk and this guy was speaking. This guy was a top, neurosurgeon of the world. All right. He said, "I've been doing all the surgery. I used to do everything, and I think I'm the perfect guy doing it, etc." And I said, "No, let me see. Let me have somebody who's observing me, performing my neurosurgery." All right. So he hired his professor, a critic.
Right.
He knew that he's very good critic, and he's a good guy, and he knows the ins and out of the brain surgery. And he said, "You be in the operation theater with me and tell me where am I wrong."
Right.
And he said, to my surprise, that he's pointed out 100 wrong things, that what I'm doing wrong. All right. And I started working in those things. Now, similarly, the business is like that.
Right.
All right. Unless and until you hire a consultant for various departments. And the other thing is, one thing I always tell people that, do you ever know that today is the best ever time in life humans have had? Yeah? Do you even know what a father had to do to run a business? Yeah? You go to the bank, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get money. Alright? Because there was limited money, they're not going to give it to any other people.
True.
Alright? You want to market yourself? Walk. Walk around the market.
Yeah.
Yeah? You want to travel? What? Flight, train, buses. And buses are overcrowded.
Right.
Yeah? Today, the humans are, you touch of a button, you reach every corner of the world.
Right.
Yeah? And people tell me, and these young guys tell me, "Oh sir, it is so difficult." I say, "No, this is the best time humans can have. Best ever time."
True.
Look at what we are. We are like, what, 2000 years old? Yeah? 2000 years, this is the best ever time humans can have. Yeah? I don't know what's going to happen in future.
True.
Yeah? But today, click of a button, you have entire world looking at you, and you don't know how to use it. It's your problem.
Right.
Right? So marketing is such an important aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah? So what is marketing? Even a painter who paints, yeah, you'll find thousands of painters in the world who are very good, but few of them can only sell a painting which is over $1 million. Why? He's marketed.
Right.
He's created a market for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similarly, marketing is important for architecture. Yeah. A lot of people, come to me, young students come to me, so I'm very good in design. No, it's not just enough. Yeah. Marketing your product is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reaching every corner is an art.
True.
Yeah.
What's the point?
A lot of people using Facebook, Instagram. You know the power of Instagram and Facebook? It is humongous. Yeah. All of, 99.9% knows it by only using it.
Right.
But how do you apply it to your business?
Right.
Is a different strategy.
True.
It's an expensive strategy. You don't know how expensive it is. Yeah. So how do people, a lot of people say, oh, social media, I'm not in. No, if you're not in social media, you're out of business. If you're not on net, see the way the business have changed, right? It's just changed like that in front of me in last 4-5 years, right?
Right.
So what has business changed, tell me? Yeah. So your regular business has changed. If you're not on net, you're out of business. Yeah. If you're not on social media, you're out of context. Yeah. If you're not on these platforms and know how to use it.
Right.
It's not being on it and then say, oh, I'm posting every day, I'm happy. No. It got to reach your target. Yeah. If you know how to use it, you're the king of today's time. And tomorrow we don't know what happens. Facebook will be out.
Yeah.
There'll be something else. Yeah, because these things are they just come in by flow and then goes away.
True.
Look at examples of a simple Kali Pili taxi of Bombay. Hundreds of years they've been working. Over the time they just disappeared.
True.
Yeah, we didn't realize that they just disappeared in front of us. I remember a time when I didn't know Ola, Uber, and all that. I didn't never download it. I said, I'll go and catch a taxi. I went with a young architect of my office. I said, let's go. And couldn't find. She said, wait, I'll just order. He'll come in. I said, what? I said, how? I don't know this. Right? So it disappeared. That similarly, people who are good architects or all that, if they don't know the platform to use, all right, they will disappear. Yeah, it's that important. Yeah, it's that important to be there. Yeah. So how do you be there? It's not easy for us to learn. You got to have people from outside who can tell you what to do. Yeah. So we run Facebook ads. It's expensive. Yeah. We have a budget of 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs. It just disappears like that. But then you've got to be doing that. We know we are wrong. Content is important.
Right.
Your right content to put there. You should to be engaging with your audience. What is audience? Ultimately, the audience are the one who's going to give you work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be in the right audience. Yeah. Or you got to be engaging with the right people who are your client. Yeah. So it's an art by itself running running any entrepreneurship. Yeah.
True.
And I agree. One thing, it's not easy as it was earlier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's been difficult to run this thing, but you have to run it in this way to know that you sustain for longer period. Otherwise, it is going to be very, very difficult for people to run it. Yeah, you have to have right people. You may not get the right people yourself. We don't get it ourselves, so we got to hire people, hire consultant. We have a marketing consultant. We have a sales consultant for us.
Right.
Tells us where do we How do we bridge the gap? How do you get the edge out of it?
Right.
It's not about just price and just product. It's just not like that.
True.
Yeah, that's the way it is in tomorrow's time. It's going to be difficult for my kids tomorrow. Yeah, but then they got to learn the trick when they're there.
I think if I'm getting it right, from everything that you've explained, uh, you know, as a learner, the way I see it is that you know exactly what you're good at, what you need to learn, and there is no shame in getting a consultant or getting help or to learn. Whatever's to be done is to be done. Instead of being like, okay, I will be the one who will be doing everything, or if I can't do it, it's not going to happen. Being a lot more real to what's the need.
See, I'll tell you, the mindset has to change for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and especially for the entrepreneur to understand.
Right.
Why do you keep a trainer when you know all the exercise? Why do you keep a trainer? Yeah? Because he knows, how much to push you.
Right.
You can exercise. People who exercise know how to. I know how to run. Right. I know how to run. Let's say I'm a marathon runner. I know how to run.
Right.
Yeah. So what do? You put an expert coach to it. Make him run with you once a week, and then he'll tell you where you are there. Right. Similarly, the business. To people who tell me, oh, I'll do everything. You can't do everything. Yeah. You can't be good at everything. You have to, if you want yourself to be sustainable, you've got to understand that, where your weaknesses are, what you need to push, and how do you need to push. Otherwise, the business can never be scaled up to a certain extent. Okay, you can only go and meet people to an extent, but then you have to have your team to go and meet, right?
True.
You have
how many people can one person meet?
Correct. So that's the way it is. So it's all about how do you market yourself. It's all about all that.
Right.
Yeah. But it's easier than before, but it is difficult in different way than before. Yeah, that's the way I put it.
It's a lot more competitive. Speed has become the essence. And that's when, as you mentioned, internet, social media, it helps you to leverage speed, to keep up the pace as well.
Absolutely. That's true.
So I'm very curious to know about your partnership equation, like how you mentioned you and your wife run the organization, if I'm getting it right. So would you be able to share a little light about how do you all manage that as to who does what, or just the equation around it, right?
See, when it comes to any business partners,
right.
So you've got to delegate work, who's good in what, etc. So she's also interior designer, architect. I'm also interior designer, architect. So we have similar expertise.
Right.
So what we do is we tend to delegate in terms of projects.
Okay.
Yeah? So you do all these kind of projects, I do these kind of projects. So I more look at a lot of architecture, larger projects is what I look at.
Okay.
And she more looks at interiors and fit outs, interiors, etc. is what she does.
So projects are different?
Projects are different. Okay. Yeah. So projects are different, teams are different.
Right.
So that's the way it is. So that's the way it is. That's the way you can balance.
Right. and in terms of the other functions of the organization.
Yeah.
So they are
also different. She handles certain parts of it.
Okay.
I handle the legal HR.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Admin, legal HR, design of my project, but she handles the other things.
Right.
So that automatically naturally it comes to
True. I think each business has its own right mix.
Yeah.
And you got to find that sweet.
You got to have that there. Yeah.
I believe that each business owner, although we're talking about an architectural firm today, needs to have a niche of its own. And if it's so, do you think it's so relevant today in your industry?
See, it does. Every business owner does have a certain kind of a niche.
Right.
There's somebody who expertise in X kind of a residential, let's say about architecture, interior. So there are some people who are expertise in some kind of a mass housing. Some people are high rise. Some people are So automatically once you start doing those businesses, you get those businesses only.
Yeah.
So it becomes that this thing. But my other thing is, you've got to do pluralistic as much as possible. Yeah, so that you become just niche may not work long time.
You got to keep switching from one to the other.
You not switching. You got to be able to diversify in terms of work wise.
Right.
It makes business sense.
Uh-huh.
So earlier I used to be doing a lot of these residential apartments, etc.
Right.
Now because of the slum, the residential went down. But my business income never went down because I had a paddle things doing it. I was doing schooling, I was doing hotels, I was doing this.
Right.
I was doing hospitals. Yeah. So really speaking, all sectors never got affected.
Right.
So my real sense, nothing got affected in terms of my top line.
Right.
Let's say.
Right.
So you got to be realistic in things.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure any of your core segment does get affected. Your top line does get affected.
Right.
ठीक है, these are part and part of
it with.
Yeah. So these are part and part of your game. So
right.
So you got to know how realistic you can be.
Right.
Initially, nobody is going to give you work if you don't know. You don't know hotels, hospitals will say, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you got to tell him, don't worry, I'll do it for almost free. But then eventually you charge.
Yeah.
You say almost free, see it and try me out and then tell me no.
Right.
That's the way.
Right.
So it's all about how you convince them to, give you that first opportunity.
Right.
And once you have that opportunity, then you know how to, then make the optimum use of those opportunities.
Right. Right. But would you also say that when someone has a niche, it gives you a little edge over others in terms of competition?
There's no doubt.
Like, I'm a specialist of this.
There's no doubt in that.
Right.
If you have a niche segment, and you're good in those segments, there's nobody can take away your competitiveness there.
Yes, yes. But then as you said, that you got to balance it out as well.
You have to see. You've got to understand that you're not doing business for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years.
Right.
You got to run your. See, the other problem with entrepreneurs is they don't see, especially in India. Okay. Your business should run after you.
Right.
That's more important.
Yeah.
You got to understand that your business should run after you. After you left that organization, that thing should run, which is there all across other countries.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. But in India, it's individual basis. People know by individual name.
Right.
And the guy is not there, is no business. So you have to see how that goes for tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where we still lack in. So it's still individual name that runs.
Right.
But then you got to learn from other big companies, corporates, how they people have created a huge corporate sort of architecture. In India, none.
It's not heard of.
None.
It's not really. Yeah.
And then and how do you do it? You create partners, and you create and then probably the main guy leaves. You still have the partner who's as good as that.
True.
That's how you can. You got to have sustainable business for a century is what you should be aiming for.
True.
Once you start aiming that, you can reach there.
Right. That's a very interesting perspective because sustainable business is something that I think needs to be touched upon.
Yes.
What if I were to ask you in this span of your business career, what would have been the most challenging situation till date? Would you consider this pandemic? So maybe barring the pandemic, because I think a lot is being touched upon that.
No, I don't think. See, I don't think pandemic is a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, realistically speaking.
Right.
It's just that every entrepreneur sees ups and downs. All right. So this is slightly more down. You got to be the biggest challenge for all entrepreneurs is to see businesses in a different way. Now, what do I mean by that? Is to see upside selling. Let's say I'm giving you a small example. Let's say a guy makes sofa all his life. All right, he's selling sofa. He's very good in sofa. He's the best.
Right.
All right. Now, just selling sofa is not going to work. All right. So you got to be looking at businesses in a different way. Now, I'll tell you, the biggest problem of entrepreneurship is the owners get into everything. Yeah. They want to do operations, they want to do design themselves, they want to do everything, they want to be in there, they want to selection material, everything. What should the business owner do? Yeah, is to look for new opportunities.
Right.
There are hundreds. Yeah, his job is not to run an operation. All my, however I try to get out of it, I still, get sucked into it.
Yeah.
But then my entire idea is to see that how I can not run my existing business. How do I get new market, new client, focus on new things,
right,
not just what I do. Is my job. That has to be my job. Nobody else can do in my office.
Right.
Yeah. I can give my sketches and tell my architect do it, and I want it like this. They can do it. Yeah. I'll say this is the way I want it, and that's it. My involvement is not going to be too much. So the idea is for an entrepreneurship is to purely focus on getting new markets. Plenty of opportunities. Yeah. I just one day took a ticket to West Africa. You know how many jobs I got there? I sat there for 15 days. Yeah, I said, what do I do here? Let me go there 15 days. I'll do a holiday.
Right.
How much of business I got there? I did 17 projects.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've got to be looking at all this.
Right.
Yeah. But then, you have limitations, you still have to, spend time here, etc., run your own thing, etc. But the idea is in business, the opportunity is abundant. It's only that how you want to look at it.
Right.
Yeah. How do you focus? Where do you get new, how do you get new business? How do you get, how do you change your marketing style so that you can cater to different segment.
Right.
That's the way it should be looking at it.
Interesting. Yes. Okay, this is the last part.
Yes, please.
So, how long would you say has it been for Narayan and Associates so far?
It's been now almost 15, 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as somebody who's been there in this trade for 15, 16 years, what would you say the next step would be for Narayan Associates as a business? Not considering the situation today, but
no, I understand. See, my entire focus has been to get new businesses.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I say new businesses, other than what I do, there's so many opportunities in life. Yeah. And now with those click a button, you can do research.
Yeah.
You can get consultant who can do that. How do we, diversify your work? How do you diversify your things?
Right.
All right. So that's the entire challenge that I look at. All right. So, I'm not saying, we're doing, all that great, but that's the way it is. We are trying to, weather the storm which is there.
Right.
Yeah. But then opportunities are huge, and I tell you, I know so many of the people who made billions in this 1 year. All right. So they've changed something, right? So it's not that they were earlier into that business.
Yeah.
So the people have changed their business. So you got to look at business as business. Yeah. So when you say, even for consulting, it's their business to do consultancy.
Right.
Okay. So how do you change the consultancy business? I'll give you a small example. In the last 4-5 years, the building industry is very badly hit. All right. and a lot of people have become homeless because the builder is not able to complete.
Right.
All right, they're not able to make project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not able to deliver what they promised, and now they're behind bars.
Right.
Okay, now what is the business that is there? What do we do? What is the best idea for the solution? You buy a small flat in that thing, make up, get all the people,
Yeah.
and you can build for all of us.
Right.
Now imagine it's the same work that I was doing.
Yeah.
But look at the way you can actually change the dynamics of the work.
Right.
So there are thousands of projects in India
Yeah.
where the project stopped. No money. There's no possibility that the builder can complete. No other builder wants to get into it because there's nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now who is left? Now people who are left are the one who bought flats and they only have paper and they have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Now you being in this field, you can say, okay, I know I can build this for all of you. All right. But you'll have to contribute a little bit more.
Right.
And you can make your own building. All right. So this is an opportunity. Right?
Right.
It's about how you look at a thing and change the way you can use the opportunity. Every time you could get an opportunity out of when you go down to.
Right.
Yeah. So presently I'm at least talking to 5. I bought. Yeah. I spent money to buy a piece of paper. Nothing. I just had a piece of paper.
Right.
All right. So I said, okay, I'll buy the paper. I got it much cheaper than what,
because of the situation.
because of the situation.
Right.
And he thought there's no hope.
Yeah.
Now there is hope. 5-6 projects.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a big projects.
Yeah.
It's like 700-800 crore projects each. So you can make it happen.
Right.
It's about how you look at it differently.
Yeah.